The Premier League is no longer just about goal. It's about the magicians who create them. 5 maestros, 5 clubs, and the most brutal creative war English football has ever seen. Liverpool's £116 million gamble from Germany. City's French enigma replacing De Bruyne. United's wounded lion carrying broken dreams. Chelsea's golden boy with a 9-year burden. Arsenal's captain haunted by almost. This season, creativity isn't just about assists and key passes. It's about survival at the top. It's about who controls the rhythm when everything falls apart. When May 2026 arrives, only one will be crowned the Premier League's creative king. But who's ready for the fight, and who's about to crumble under the pressure? The 2024-25 Premier League looks settled from the outside. Liverpool cruised to the title. Arsenal chased shadows again. But if you watched closely, you'd know something fundamental shifted. The old creative order crumbled. Kevin De Bruyne packed his bags for Naples. The Ødegaard's creative heart ripped out overnight. At Old Trafford, Bruno Fernandes carried a broken team on his back while openly questioning standards in preseason.
Our performance wasn't the best off the ball. I think we were a little bit lazy today.
North London saw their captain turn into a ghost when it mattered most. And at Stamford Bridge, Cole Palmer learned that brilliance comes with a 9-year contract and impossible expectations. But here's what makes this season different. Almost every club has made their move. Not just signings, revolutionary moves. When you look at what's forming, it's giving serious 2012-13 vibes. The season where 7 teams genuinely believed they could win everything. Where creativity wasn't just about pretty passes. It was about surviving when chaos hit. This time the stakes are even higher. 5 creators, 4 Champions League spots, and nowhere to hide when the magic runs dry. The revolution starts now. Some players carry teams. Bruno Fernandes carries dreams that died long ago. 5 years, 5 seasons of being Manchester United's creative lifeline.
I think the flick from Bruno Fernandes is absolutely world class.
While the club slowly forgot how to win football matches. In 2024-25, United finished 15th, a catastrophic collapse for a club of their size. Bruno still delivered. In the Premier League, he registered 8 goals and 10 assists and played just over 3,000 minutes. Numbers that underline how much of United's creativity ran through him. Across all competitions, his tallies were close to 18 to 19 goals and a similar number of assists, depending on how different outlets count cup appearances. Here's the brutal truth. Bruno Fernandes' individual numbers haven't collapsed. His league output shows steady production in a team where steady seems foreign. But when you're the designated creator for a squad that struggled to score, individual brilliance reads like collective failure. The preseason made the picture impossible to ignore. On the US tour, he put his shoulder to the wheel. A vintage performance at MetLife Stadium as he scored twice to beat West Ham 2-1, showing the old instincts are still there. Then came the Everton draw, a flat 2-2 that lit a fuse. Bruno snapped, not behind closed doors but into cameras and headlines. He called the performance lazy and demanded more competition and quality.
Our performance wasn't the best off the ball. I think we were a little bit lazy today.
It was public frustration, and it landed like a warning. In New Jersey against West Ham, Amorim's midfield pairing Ugarte Mainu allowed Bruno to sit higher, closer to attack. Cunha started and was used as a mobile outlet behind the striker spine, while Bruno operated as one of the 2 number 10 figures, closer to goal and threading passes when the chance arrived. It was basic, but it worked that night. Back at Old Trafford in the Fiorentina friendly, Amorim briefly experimented with Mason Mount in a false 9 role with Cunha and Mbeumo behind him, a setup that produced encouraging positional swapping and moments of real interplay. The Guardian's match report said there was flow in the final third as the players swapped positions and singled out Mbeumo's neat touches and Cunha's ball carrying as early positives. That's exactly the kind of movement Bruno needs. Runners who can occupy channels and drag markers out of place. Practically, Cunha gives United a direct carrier who can carry from half space into the box and finish. Mbeumo supplies quick feet, clever 1-2s, and off-the-ball movement. Bruno's strengths at late runs, through balls, and set-piece delivery pair naturally with that profile. Preseason showed them still learning to read each other, but the chemistry flashed when it mattered. A close interplay in training drills, intelligent rotation in friendlies, and the kind of movement that might finally turn Bruno's chances into team results. rumors. There are other realities too. The Saudis were at the door again this summer. Al Hilal reportedly made a major push, and Bruno publicly confirmed he turned down the offer, saying he wants to stay at the highest level. That decision matters. He chose the fight at Old Trafford for now. And the invisible weight remains. Bruno logged heavy minutes last season. He is being leaned on physically and mentally. The preseason showed both fatigue and flashes of brilliance. The real test won't be a friendly or a soundbite. It will be whether a refreshed front line, with Cunha and Bayumo fitting into Amorim's patterns, can finally turn Bruno's magic into wins. The terrifying reality? This might be the season that creative genius finally surrenders to collective mediocrity, unless the new pieces snap into place and make the captain's burden lighter. While Bruno drowns in mediocrity 350 miles south, Cole Palmer is discovering that being perfect creates its own special kind of hell. 23 years old, signed to a long-term deal that ties him to Chelsea through 2033, a 9-year commitment that reads like a lifetime in modern football. 2 major trophies are already in the cabinet. Palmer turned the Conference League final upside down with a cameo that produced 2 assists in Chelsea's 4-1 victory over Real Betis. A month later, he starred in the expanded Club World Cup final, scoring twice and slipping the assist for Joao Pedro's goal as Chelsea beat PSG 3-0, and he walked away with the golden ball as a tournament best player. But success at Stamford Bridge comes with a price tag most players never see coming. Last season was supposed to be Palmer's breakthrough. Instead, it became his masterpiece. In the Premier League, he finished with 15 goals and 8 assists, a sensational return that put him among the division's most dangerous creators. And across all competitions, he finished the year with roughly 18 goals and 14 assists, depending on the counting method. Those numbers explain the hysteria. Palmer's run from the spot only added to the myth. He went 12 for 12 on Premier League penalties, an almost flawless streak that set tongues wagging before his next attempt ended the run. It wasn't just luck, it was ice-cold technique, and yet Enzo Maresca still wants more. After the Conference League final, Maresca urged Palmer to take more initiative, and Palmer himself admitted he'd been sick of getting the ball and going backwards and sideways. Glorious honesty that triggered a quiet conversation between coach and star. Preseason didn't settle the argument. On the friendly trail, Palmer looked sharp. 2 good free kick efforts and lively in the Milan friendly, but he was also more vocal on the pitch, seen nudging and directing younger teammates in the build-ups. Those flashes of leadership are useful. They are not the same as proving he can carry a decade-long project. A few final numbers to anchor the hysteria. Transfer market trackers peg his market value in the elite bracket, which is why the 9-year contract felt necessary to Chelsea's hierarchy. But here's the brutal human truth. Being a perfectionist on a 9-year contract creates small daily pressures that accumulate. Fans expect magic every week. The board expects sellable value every window. The manager expects evolution, not repetition. Palmer has the tools, the finals pedigree, and the headlines. If Cole Palmer is discovering the weight of expectations, Martin Ødegaard is suffocating under the burden of them. 3 seasons, 3 second-place finishes, 3 summers of explaining why Arsenal came close but never close enough. The captain's armband at the Emirates feels less like an honor and more like a millstone dragging Norwegian elegance toward English pragmatism. French media called him a ghost during Arsenal's Champions League semi-final collapse against PSG. Harsh, perhaps. Accurate? Painfully so. Ødegaard was notably quiet when the game was at its most urgent. The 2024-25 statistics tell a story of decline disguised as consistency. He managed 3 goals and 8 assists in 30 Premier League appearances. Respectable on paper, catastrophic for someone bearing Arsenal's creative burden while Bukayo Saka battled injuries and the rest of the team chased inspiration that never came. On paper, he's everywhere, but in truth, he's nowhere. Ødegaard's heat maps show him dropping deep to collect possession, drifting wide to overload options, pushing high to support attacks. The result? A captain untethered to any position, trying to solve every tactical problem and excelling in none of them. Preseason offered a flicker of redemption. In the Emirates Cup final, Arsenal thrashed Athletic Bilbao 3-0. First, Gyökeres rose to head in a Martin Zubamendi cross. Then Ødegaard clipped a ball over the top to Martinelli, who flicked it on for Saka's finish. A simple yet unmissable moment, a captain taking the initiative in dangerous areas. Zubamendi, the summer signing, singled out Ødegaard after the match, calling him top player, the best in his position, and emphasizing how easy it was to settle into the team around him. That endorsement felt like a vote of confidence, one that's been missing for a while. His pass completion and spatial understanding remain elite. No one doubts his football intelligence. Still, when Arsenal needed someone to grab games by the throat and force results through sheer force of character, their captain disappeared into patterns that looked beautiful but produced little. Mikel Arteta believes this is Ødegaard's breakthrough season. He surrounded the Norwegian with reinforcements, adding depth and creative outlets so the burden isn't centered on one man, but belief doesn't score goals, and elegant passing doesn't win trophies when the moment demands chaos over control. The terrifying reality for Arsenal, their captain might be just too sophisticated for the crude business of winning football matches. Because sometimes genius isn't enough. Sometimes you need a killer. Anfield doesn't do gambles. They do calculated conquests. When Arne Slot looked at his title-winning squad in May, he saw perfection with one fatal flaw. Liverpool had everything except the one thing that separates good teams from dynasties. A creator who could unlock any door, anytime, anywhere. Enter Florian Wirtz, a mind-bending signing, roughly £116 million, a British transfer record for a teenager. Not just a fee, a statement. But here's what really slams home the impact. He wasn't expected to be on the market. Bayern Munich whispered sweet promises for 2 years. Manchester City circled like vultures. Yet somehow, Liverpool convinced a Bundesliga player of the season to choose Merseyside over Bavaria, underlining just how hungry this rebuild really is. At Leverkusen, Wirtz didn't just create chances, he made miracles happen. 10 Bundesliga goals, 12 assists, stats that crack open games. His 2.1 open play chances created per 90 minutes led the team. He wasn't just picking pockets, he was rearranging the way teams defended him. In preseason, those magic sparks showed immediately. Behind closed doors, in a friendly against Stoke City, Wirtz wasn't just playing, he conducted. Every touch felt purposeful, every run mapped to opportunity. Darwin Núñez netted a hat trick, but Wirtz was the orchestra conductor pulling the strings. Then came the Community Shield, a 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace that went to penalties. Liverpool lost on spot kicks, but Wirtz had already made a statement. His equalizer assist wasn't just technically perfect, it was proof he'd already begun to channel his craft into the chaos of English football. Liverpool fans are calling him special. They see a class that walks into Anfield and looks right at home. He's stepping into the soul of a team where creative output is dictated by trophy expectations. The real question, one that echoes through the streets of Merseyside, isn't whether Wirtz can handle the Premier League. It's whether he can handle being Liverpool's creative heartbeat when every hold-up flick, every killer pass could decide a title. Because at Liverpool, good isn't good enough, and even genius has an expiration date. While Liverpool splashed headlines with their record signing, across Manchester, Pep Guardiola made a different calculation entirely, around £30 million for Ryan Cherki, a fraction of what they could have paid for Wirtz. But sometimes the best moves are the ones nobody sees coming. Lyon didn't want to sell, Cherki didn't want to leave, but financial reality has a way of crushing romantic dreams. When your club is drowning in debt and your contract runs out in 12 months, £30 million starts looking like salvation rather than surrender. City pounced, not because Cherki was simply available, but because Guardiola saw something others didn't. While the world argued over whether a 21-year-old from Ligue 1 could replace Kevin De Bruyne, Pep was already plotting how to make him into something different. Not the next De Bruyne, but the first Ryan Cherki. The numbers back it up. Cherki finished last season with 11 Ligue 1 assists, tied for the most in the division, and ranked among Europe's best for chances created per 90 minutes. His progressive carries into the final third were elite, the kind that pull entire defensive shapes out of position. But preseason reality hit quickly. Club World Cup debut against Wydad Casablanca. 60 minutes of drifting through midfield, searching for space, looking like a man still learning the map of Guardiola's tactical me. This wasn't the Cherki who twisted Ligue 1 defenders inside out. This was a young player wrestling with the weight of expectation. Still, flickers of genius broke through. The first touch to tame impossible passes. The vision to spot runs before teammates had even moved. Guardiola saw enough to keep him involved, and in the very next match against Al Ain, Cherki came off the bench and scored. A flash of the player City believe he can be. The stakes are huge. City have replaced their creative anchor with a high ceiling question mark, but if history has taught us anything, it's that Guardiola's strangest experiments often become the standard everyone else copies. Either Cherki becomes the masterpiece of City's next era, or he becomes the most expensive reminder that talent without adaptation is nothing in English football. This season won't be decided by statistics or preseason performances. It'll be settled in those moments when composure meets chaos, when individual brilliance either rescues teams or exposes their weaknesses. The Premier League has never been more unpredictable. The creative throne has never been more contested. But what do you think? Which creator will own this season when the final whistle blows? Drop your predictions in the comments below and let's settle this debate properly. And if you want to see who's proven right when May comes around, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because this creative war is just getting started.